Hello and welcome to the shooting show. It's a cold December morning, hence the frost and everything on the floor. This week we're joining a black powder pheasant shoot and then heading to Scotland for a double header on red deer and fallow. But first we're with Jonathan McGee for an explosive black powder and muzzleloading day at Lockton Estate.
Tell you what. Something similar to mine. That is stunning.
It's nice, isn't it? Stalks.
18 what? 18 does ride really well.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to chill out for the first one.
Is there a spare flag?
Today we're going to start doing the Christmas trees, then the quarry, the winds, the honey pot, and then we'll fetch the whole of Farworth back to the honey pot, okay? So that's the way we're going to do. I want to get some stops out early. Craig's going to run the beating team for me, so I'll probably look for 6.
Whatever you want on Farworth, I don't think we need as many on.
We won't need any for Farworth,
Yeah.
We'll have plenty
So,
for there. So please take it nice and steady on each of the drives. So, you know, yeah, those that are on the blue pipe, when we get to there, they can walk forward quickly.
From there, and then on the winds drive, you'll be
When you
going
say flag from there down the pipe or...
down the pipe,
So I'll walk down the hill
So
there.
birds
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
at you,
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
either get pushed back into the dogs or...
Because again, we're only going to be taking one vehicle down, just so that we're minimising any issues around avian flu. We don't want too many vehicles down there. Okay. Can we get as soon as you can? Can you get somebody?
The muzzle loading gun isn't loaded until it's got its percussion cap on, which we're not putting on.
I'll put it on your tailgate, David Lee.
Yeah.
There's a lot involved, isn't there?
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
This is your top card that goes over your shot. Buddy.
Welcome to the Lockton and Leversham shoot. Obviously here to shoot some of our pheasants today. Good luck with that because they are flying quite well. The beaters are going to be on the banks above you, so your barrels do need to be clear of the banks. Okay. On a couple of the drives, some of the guns are going to be double banked, so just be aware of where the guns are in front of you. Turn when you load, bring your gun back up. Trailer safety. We're going to be going down on the trailer, so everybody sat please, nobody standing. while the trailer is moving. We do recommend that eye and hearing protection is worn, but that is a matter for yourselves. We're limiting the number of vehicles that we're taking down onto the shoot, so there'll only be the trailer and my car. No woodcock, no ground game, and no foxes under any circumstances. Anything else that is lawful and within your abilities to shoot it, please feel free to do so. Again, sporting birds please. We are taking a harvest off the land, and we do want to make sure that what we shoot is edible, okay? And also mark any shot game so that the pickers up can pick up what we've shot.
Thank you.
I'll take you one for Tony.
Yeah.
That's Tony's.
Right.
That's mine.
You need to write them down. I've got a pen in my car. You can write them on your hand. Yeah?
When I miss.
Okay guys, if you'd like to get yourself sorted out, number 10.
Number 7's Carl Nutfield somewhere.
Somewhere up there, yeah.
So today you join me and a load of my friends on a black powder pheasant shoot. We've got a couple of 150-year-old guns, some home-loaded cartridges, some home-loaded 28-gram 6s, and this is a day which, one of the first ones I ever filmed about 8 years ago. So black powder pheasant shooting on YouTube, and this is an absolutely exceptional day. It's nice and slow. You can take your time, you've got your hammers, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of vintage guns, some of which are 200 years old with the muzzle loaders. This is really, really good fun. We should see some birds. The bag is normally between 35 and 80. So the hard thing with this sort of shooting is you're basically using a gun which is always live. I think that's the end of the first drive. That's the end of the first drive, so there wasn't that many birds in there. I don't think we had a shot, but it is one of the smaller ones, a little cover crop. I was just saying, the hard thing with these sort of guns is it's always live, so I'm going to take the cartridges out so I can show you, but there's our black powder cartridges. With a hammer gun, obviously, you're using the hammers. So that essentially fires through to the firing pin, which ignites the cartridge, but they're always live, so you've got to be really careful. Obviously it is an empty gun, but that was the end of the very short first drive. We'll get this put away, move on to the next.
That's right, yeah.
And he does it skill.
The last couple of times there's been quite a few birds in there, and they were shooting them back over in that field.
Oh, right.
Is it the Birmingham one? The NEC one?
No,
The Yorkshire one?
You got the terrier.
No way. Let's do it.
There were two of them, at least two of them. See, I got it, I put it in so nobody...
Can I have numbers 1 to 5 out here, please?
Yeah.
Everybody else can stay in for now.
Oh, that's fine.
Cheers, love.
Because it's that dense a material, you need, there's nothing in there.
I see the cases at game one.
Yeah.
50 metres, whole pipe.
That will go back in the bag.
After 2 years, but you've still got a bloody solid brass end that's going to sit in there.
Well, yeah, but I was supposed to be there.
Yeah, that is there.
So we're here on the second drive at Lockton. It's the middle of November now, and there's still so many leaves on the trees, but it is an absolutely beautiful day, perfect for shooting here. There's not that much wind, which we don't need here because the birds literally flick out. I've got Christopher here and his dog Sorrel. Sorrel's an amazing little dog who's very, very keen. Every time you close the gun, she's into action. But yeah, this should be a really nice drive. Again, on one of these black powder days, there's not really that amount of shooting. It's nice and slow, nice and calm. We've got a load of the guys using muzzle loaders who are literally having to sort of pour the powder in, pour the lead in, tamp it down, all that sort of stuff. So what you'll see from this is completely different to anything we've filmed before. It's nice and slow, nice and lethargic, but when one of those guns goes off, the amount of flames and fire that comes out the barrels is really exciting. If the beaters walk too fast, all of the birds will come over at once, and then the guys who are using the muzzle loaders really only get 1 or 2 shots off sometimes per drive, so they've got to be really sort of calm, flick the birds over in ones and twos, so the guys actually have the time to put the powder in, put the wad in, put the pellets in, put the top on, and get prepared for the next shot. So we have to be really, really slow. Just about make out the pigeons and stuff coming over, but as the pigeons have started to come, we know that the drive's about to start, so be as prepared as possible. I'm going! Too fast!
That's hell of a powder that's in there though. It's about 60 quid a ton now.
Either worth it though, not that much shooting with those.
It's, I think it's addictive, black powder for a start, but it's, I don't know, it's something I've done for 50 years now. I mean, Sheffield muzzleloaders, I was in it in my early 30s, I think when I first joined it. I'd done a bit of black powder muzzleloading shooting at home myself. First time I ever shot one, somebody gave me an old Indian 3-band Enfield musket, smooth bore thing. And I found some balls that had fit it, and I got a bit of powder and a cap or two. And took it in our local wood and private wood, you know, it was safe and everything. And fired that, and that got me hooked in the first place. I was still in my teens then. The craftsmanship that went into them, they're just absolutely stunning. Works of art, all of them. When you think how these barrels were made with the rose Damascus. The gun is now on half cock. It's now on full cock. It will now go off if I pull the trigger. On half cock, it won't go off if I touch the triggers. So it's safe. On a modern gun, you'd have a safety catch there, which means the gun can't fire.
Oh wow.
There you go. Right, I've fired one barrel. I've put my gun on half cock on the other barrel. I've put my powder in and my wad. Now I'm putting my shot in. I could shoot that now if a bird came without the top card in, so I'm going to put one in. That's both barrels now loaded. There's my capper. I put my cap on my nipple. We're still on half cock, we're ready for going. But you'll get these shoots, they have these 400 bird days and it'll just kill shooting. It's ridiculous.
Do you prefer something like this?
Oh, aye, definitely. 50 bird days and most that'll go on. I'm quite happy, you know, if we come off with, I don't know, 30 birds, it'll do me. We usually do about 35 birds on here. That's all. I think it only pot next, isn't it?
Next drive?
I think so.
Right, okay.
No,
We were 6 and 8 there.
Nice.
There's one for you. Send the dog.
If it's not really obvious that's just in here, we'll pick them, but if not, we'll pick them on the way.
you.
Happy birthday.
No, I haven't yet. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. They will be called a gin.
Hey!
chili, and you know your about 3 years ago, sort of saying, "No, you can't do this with them, you can't do that with them."
Yeah, they just push them on.
Wow.
So this is just the same thing, but that's why top leader.
Yeah.
The beaters are going to bring that section of wood through.
Yeah.
So about 100 yards up there, there's a blue feeder. I'd like one volunteer, it's not steep, it's 100 yards, to stand near the blue feeder.
Yeah.
And then we'll line out down here.
Yeah.
And I'd like one gun to follow me, and then I'd like everybody back at this gate.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll line up
Down that way.
100 yards along, 20-yard gaps, and we'll creep.
I'm not sure how many have been shot, to be honest with you, but I don't think today is necessarily about how many shots you've had.
black powder is just such a weird cartridge to shoot, so you don't really know if you're behind or in front. You're shooting with, you know, old guns, so it's more just about being out in the fresh air really and making some noise and smoke and hellfire coming out the end of barrels.
So we reload them ourselves. So first process, we knock out the old primer, resize it, that's done at the same time. We then put the powder in, the wadding in, then the shot, then an over wad, which is that white one, and then put it into a roll turnover tool, turn the handle, and that rolls it in on itself. Quite clever technology for 1860, I believe.
Yeah, here, sit. There's one more, I think, at the back.
Hi mate, you alright? So it's nice that you've actually had a chance to see a bit more of the shooting and not just my face for the rest of today. You've been with a muzzleloader, you've been with Simon, you've been with a couple of the other guns, and it's probably one of the best examples of a small black powder day you can get. We've had some incredible birds. Simon shot really well on that last drive, so I'm so glad you were with him. And this is the last drive. We're going to see how we get on, but it's been a really good day. The weather's held out. The guns have been phenomenal, and I can really understand why people like shooting these guns. It's nice and slow, nice and methodical. You've got to be really accurate, know what the cartridges are going to be doing. We're walking now. We're pushing along with the beaters. They're starting over there. We're going to be pulling out a couple of birds as they pop over, joining on with the rest of the line. Let's see how we get on.
Beautiful. Whoa.
It can't be far off you there, buddy. I was about in line with the end gun now, and it was directly over. But it was a good height up though.
Well high up. You want to be further out. We're doggies now. Oh, forward!
sign off and then get a video of the kid doing it
Yeah.
out there. So thanks again for joining us here on the shooting show. This is our black powder day in North Yorkshire with some lovely old guns. We hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you again soon.
Let that go, keep your finger on there. Yeah, pick up. Good lad. There we are. That's a full charge you got in there. That's back, big back. Start it. 2 minutes and I'll come up then. Bring it up then. Are you going up? You do it, I'll just start it for you.
No, they're not too alright.
Right down the bottom, that's good. That's down, I can tell.
Oh, no, did anyone pick a cock from the backside of this pen? Got there? I didn't know there was one down.
That's it. Right. When you're ready, you pull the trigger. Nothing. All right. Make me jump then, innit?
Always good to see young people getting involved in the sport, as always. Next up, we're heading to Perthshire for a back-to-back stalk. Chris Dalton is out for red deer and fallow in this next episode.
Okay, this morning we went out onto the open hill. It's a piece of ground I manage in Perthshire, and basically we've got a major forest creation scheme going on the open moor, effectively. So for the last few months I've been monitoring the deer situation up there, particularly the red deer, just to assess numbers, reduce numbers where appropriate. So that was the plan. I mean, it was pretty awful weather really. We did a bit of a frost overnight and then kind of a bit of one of those dreek days. It kind of drizzly rain rolled in, it was cold, then the mist came in and it cleared a bit, and long story short, the wind was swirling all over the place, so the deer weren't playing ball and not much up on the tops that I could see. So basically, due to those conditions, I elected to drop down into the valleys where we've got some broadleaf woodland and fallow moving in there. So I thought, well, probably better chance of maybe trying to get a fallow. So we kind of went off the hill and dropped down into one of the valleys. So as we got down into the alders and some of the mature woodland, weather actually improved quite a bit. The light improved. It's always good for deer moving after a pretty coldish morning. So I was fairly hopeful and went up a bracken bank and a stream valley which kind of would lead me round some sort of mature trees to drop into over above a restock in a valley. Give me a good vantage point, but kind of on the way up there the dogs started indicating strongly in front of us and the wind was kind of coming off the hills. Benefit of a good dog, it was just a single lone fallow working on the bank. Watched her for a while, see if there was any sort of follow with her, but she was completely on her own. Okay, so developed into quite a nice morning. We got round a few fallow actually early, but the wind was tricky. It's kind of blowing up and down the valley, so 1 minute it's one made, the other minute's the next. That's just like stalking. Tends to be, and it made it very, very difficult. Plus they were right out in the open, so we couldn't get close enough. And you just got this fallow just working up this banking. Couldn't see any others with her. We got a nice position for a shot just from the far bank across. And quite a steep slope, you know that when you're going up to try and drag it down again. So I'm just going to bring it away from the water, and then I'll do a growlock. Unfortunately we're near the track, so we can get the car close into this one, so there isn't quite so much carrying and humping and dumping involved. So after recovering the deer, fairly easy process, because you could sort of bring her downhill, cross the stream and then growlock, and I could actually get the bike into where the deer was, so that's quite an easy recovery. So the forecast was pretty bad again for the evening, but I think it looked as though it was maybe coming in a bit later, so originally we didn't know we'd get much of an afternoon out of it, because if it's like that it's not very good for stalking, and where I can I like to pick good weather. If you've got clients obviously you can't. But it was quite nice, so we went and grabbed a bit of lunch and sort of shortish daylight hours, sort of shot back to get the best, what we thought were going to be the best couple of hours of the afternoon. And again, deer will often move in those conditions because deer sense bad weather coming in, and often they'll move a bit earlier than normal. So kind of went back to a similar area to where we'd been in the morning, which is an area that's been felled about 18 months ago and replanted. So it's an area you'd have to keep a fairly close eye on. Again, looking for either roe or fallow. Probably been going about an hour or so. There were a couple of fallow initially under some crag, and there were a fairly largest group of fallow, I don't know, maybe a dozen animals, which were feeding underneath one of these sheltered little plateaus. Mostly does, but a few prickets with them, so I wanted to take a pricket. The problem were there were deer in line and behind and close by, so I could have waited quite a while until eventually the pricket that I'd chosen to shoot sort of came clear. Okay, well you can see the results of that stalk with quite a nice afternoon as we set off, quite a nice bit of breeze. Got like a restock site here, which is a bit of a mix of broadleaf and conifer, very rocky as you can see. And we did get into a couple of small groups of fallow just up on the top, but skylined and mostly does. So we wanted to take one or two of the bucks out, the young prickets out. Good beast to take this, good body weight on him. And we managed to kind of loop around and come up through the restock. They were just browsing below these crags. Initially I had quite a wait because they were milling around like fallow do, so I got a lovely broadside shot and got a nice safe backstop. A bit of a grassy bank between the rocks, and there was always a deer behind it anyway. Bit of patience and the deer cleared, so we got the shot pretty much shot where I shot him really. We've got a bit of a tricky drag up here now to get onto the track, and we'll growlock him and then get the vehicle and get it recovered. Oh gosh. The rain coming in on us, the weather's coming in.
Some great shooting from Chris there, as always. Sadly, that's all we've got time for this week on The Shooting Show. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. And if you're not a member of Basque, you should be. I'm Chris Castle, and this has been The Shooting Show.
If you aren't a member of Basque, it's time to join now. Basque, looking after your sport, looking after you.